Okay everybody, hi! So I just got back from Old Navy and I am going to make my Halloween costume. Woo! Okay, so I bought everything I'll need there. So I bought this scarf. It's brown. It has little tassels on it, which I'm going to cut off later and use for whiskers. And yeah. I'm just going to use 6 of them, and the rest, I don't know. I'll use them for something later. But the rest of it's going to be for a tail. I bought these socks for only $5. I'm going to cut them up and make the wolf ears out of them. $5 socks. They're called cozy socks. They're very soft. And I bought this hoodie. It wasn't that expensive. I know it's got this big tag on it. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to wear it inside out because it looks like this on the other side, like normal hoodie. And then, one second. And then on the inside, it has this fur lining. So I'm going to wear it inside out. And this lining goes all the way through the sleeves. They had another hoodie there that didn't have the lining through the sleeves, but this one was better because it had it in the sleeves and it was less expensive. Okay, put the hoodie on inside out. So this is the start. See? All fuzzy and warm. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of cardboard. Doesn't really matter what they say. They're from a shoebox. But they're this big because they're going to be my ears. I'm actually going to shape them a little into ear shapes. So, let's start doing that. I have awesome scissors, by the way. They like latch here if you open them like that. So, let's see, an ear shape, like Max's. Like this. All my friends who are furries are going to be like, you look like a furry! And I'm going to be like, okay. So there, I cut it like this, and I fold it in half, because, you know, ears aren't straight. So that'll be one ear. Doing the same on the other side. Okay. This one's a little bit differently shaped. Oh well. They're going to be underneath. If they're not exactly the same, like, I mean, if you wanted to, you could line them up and do it, but I'm not smart enough for that. I think of these things after I do it, but it's not really going to matter. I mean, they're going to be covered as long as they're the same length. That's all. And you can see yeah, so those are my ears. I'm not going to wear cardboard ears. That'd be really weird. So I have these socks. I'm going to cut them above the ankle a bit. Okay, so I've cut this part off, but I'm not using this part of this sock. Okay. I'm going to put my cardboard into my sock. Fit there. I'm going to get my needle and thread. So I've got my needle threaded and I've doubled it over. I'm going to tie a knot in the end. If you know how to sew, you know how to sew. I don't really need to tell you. I'm not really going to. But I'm going to make it pretty thick because these socks are stretchy socks. And it's probably going to be able to come through quite easily no matter how large I make it. So the bigger I make it, the better. And just keep tying the knot in the same spot so that it makes it bigger. Alright, so I'm going to start with the rounded edge instead of the pointy edge because it'll be easier to do. And I'm just going to simply sew it closed. It really doesn't need to be anything special. No special fancy stuff here if you were looking forward to anything fancy or special. And then I will move on to the top part. So now I finished sewing the bottom part. You can see it's not like anything special, but I'm going to start sewing the top part. Now these socks are stretchy, so I know you can see the cardboard now, but I'm going to stretch it up. You won't be able to look like that. Is I'm going to just start sewing it in right along the edge of the cardboard, and then back down the other side along the edge of the cardboard, and then cut the excess off. So I'm going to sew it, and then I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so what I did was I sewed along the edge here, right next to it, and so it's all sewn, and then I did like an extra few times around the tip so that it would stay in position, and then I sewed down the other edge, and then I cut off this side, and then I left this side on to show you how to cut it off. So I've got it knotted now, and I'm just going to cut a little ways away from the exact portion where I sewed, so there's just a little extra fuzz, just in case something breaks or goes wrong. And then I have ear 1. 2 ears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on, and what he has is fingerless gloves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew them down to the wrist portion, like so, all the way down. Line it right up with the bottom of this part, right where here, like that. And I can't fit my hand straight up like that, but that's going to be alright because they're fingerless gloves. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut them open at the top. I feel really nervous about this, but I'm just going to do it very close to the top. I want them as long as possible. So now I have, the result is this, which looks sort of like a fingerless glove, but what I'm going to do then is sew in between each finger to make them little gloves. At last, the gloves are done. Alright, so my next step is I'm going to take this off. Actually, I'm going to do that now. Okay. Oh, so it has this tag in it that says Old Navy. I'm going to deal with that right now before I put the ears in. It's actually quite easy to remove. It's just sewn on the sides. So what I'm going to do, you can see the stitching right along the edge of it, and all you have to do is just cut along it and then gently tear it up on both sides. Okay, so it's off. So now the back has just plain fur and no Old Navy. So the next step is going to be putting the ears on. So I'm going to lay this flat on the hood open with the fur side out, the side that's going to be out, over my lap. And then I'm going to take both ears and put them where I plan to have them sewn down, just so I get an idea of how far apart they're going to be and how they'll look and such. And then I'm going to take one of them and place it aside, just remembering, that this is the distance I want them apart, this is how far forward I want them, etc. So now you have to keep in mind which part of the hood is going to be on the top of your head and which part is going to be on the back of your head. If it helps you, you can just slip the hood over your head like this instead of putting the whole costume on, just really fast. Put these on, see, where do I want this, I think I want mine on the back like this because I think it's going to help them stay up better. So I'm going to say like this, reach inside, put my thumbs on the bottom of the cardboard, swing it back around, hold them in place, and then see, oh, I see, this is where I want them. Okay? And then commence. I realized as I was editing this that I forgot to show you how to do 2 things. So, I stopped in the middle of the ears section. So basically, you just sew the ears around. The more stitching you put on, the closer to your head they'll be, and the more they'll be floppy. I put mine kind of on the back of my head because I know that looks a little funny, but otherwise they just flop over, and his ears really stand up straight. And then the last thing I didn't tell you was the whiskers. So for the whiskers, I took paper clips and I straightened them out, sort of. They don't have to be perfectly straight, they're whiskers. So I made them straightish, and then I took the tassels from my tail that I had cut off and just sewed them, / wrapped them around the paper clip until they were all covered in brown. And then I sewed those on to the inside of the hoodie here. And then because they're paper clips, I bent them to be, if you don't bend them, they face this way. So I bent them to face outwards. So to make it look like Max, I got some yellow construction paper and just cut out a strip long enough to go around my head and made points on it. So there you go. I am Max.